What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. We have UFC Vegas 73, Mackenzie Dern going against Angela Hill, a 12-fight slate to talk about. As always, we are here on a Wednesday with Weezy, Monk, and Gordo. We'll kick it to you first, Weezy. Are you looking forward to the card of the year, just stacked from top to bottom?
Yeah, I mean, if you like low-level mixed martial arts, you are going to be in absolute heaven this week. It is that kind of a week. It's Themba Gorimbo fight week. It's Takashi Sato fight week. It's Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight week. It's Victoria Leonardo fight week. Cut Mandy Bohm. It's Orion Cosce fight week. Gilbert Urbina fight. You know, it's that kind of week. But you know, if we make some money on it, we're going to be laughing our ass off at the end of the night and having a really fun time. So let's make some money.
Let's do it. We got Monk in the building. Monk, what is up? Are you looking forward to the card?
Yeah, Jiyoung Kim has got to be at her house just like making the confused Steve Brule face, just like, what? Just all day today. Got to be. I mean, she should at least be sitting next to Bohm on that cut list. That's for freaking sure. And I'm just saying all that because I have nothing good to say about this card. So I will watch it. I want to see Angela Hill win in the main event, and there's a couple other spots I am genuinely interested in. But yeah, this is a bottom. This is a scrape together type of card here.
Yep, it's definitely a card. We got Gordo. Gordo, what is up? You looking for the card?
Yeah, you guys told my thoughts exactly. It's one of these cards that you really should have Kim versus Bohm on it. That's kind of where this card really lays is that level of fight, right? But on the bright side of things, you know, there's no fights next week. I know we're going to be sitting here on next Saturday looking like, you know what, there should be we're looking for fights. And although it is a lower level card, I think there are some, let's say, entertaining scraps, right? One that maybe not have the most technicality, but there could be some violence. And I'm looking forward to fights either way at the end of the day. Hopefully we can make some money off it to make it even better.
Yeah, it seems like these lower level fight cards always seem to end in some violence, and they're always fun. So yeah, no real complaints for me, I suppose. Before we get into it, if you guys can please smash the like button, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. Do you want to shout out everybody in the chat? We got Ollie One, we got Dixon, we got Vicky, we got Oh Shucks hanging out with us. What is up, guys? Be sure to hit that like button. We're gonna get into it here. And we're going to start with our fight to target. We're going to kick it to you first, Gordo. What is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Well, that is an absolute honor. I'm going to take full advantage. Let's talk about Hernandez versus Shahbazyan as my fight to target. I think that is my clear fight to target this week for not only the fact that I do anticipate a finish, but I think that either one of these guys' paths to victory is going to score very well. And in doing so, it plays into each other's weaknesses. Edmen Shahbazyan is a guy who's been electric in round one, but he fades down the stretch and he can be dominated not only on the mat, but his cardio seems to also wane. Meanwhile, Hernandez is a guy who really thrives in those later rounds, yet struggles early on. His finishes have been early on here. We have seen him put out in the first round. It feels like the winner of this one's going to score very well. In my eyes, it's pretty binary. You either have Shahbazyan getting a first round finish and being optimal at 6.8K, or you have a guy like Hernandez absolutely drowning the golden boy in Shahbazyan and scoring a lot of points in the process. Either way, I do think the winner puts up a very good score and is a fight I'm very looking forward to.
I like it. I see the fight the exact same way. Very good fight to target there. Gordo, Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
I do love that fight. And I think maybe the one that Gordo maybe was mentioning earlier, tell me if I'm wrong, where he mentioned not too much technicality and lots of possible violence. I'm thinking Slaviklaus and Maheshate here for this one. 8,800 for Borschev, 7,400 for Maheshate. I mean, just in the 5 fights that these guys have had, a couple of finishes. Let's see, neither of them can wrestle. That has been their clear the path to victory for their opponents. I mean, I almost insulted Rafa. Don't call me Rafa Garcia. 6 takedowns he landed on Maheshate. And Mike Davis, I mean, Mark D. Casey did it first, but Mike Davis comes through. Borschev has been taken down 20 times in the past 2 fights. I'm just now seeing that number. 20 times is insane. We were talking before this fight. If this fight hits the ground, somebody's getting knocked out or it's a complete accident. I tend to lean on the first option here. I'm thinking this one's violence. And honestly, I'm probably leaning Borschev, but I just think this one finishes inside the distance, and I'm going to be looking for a knockout. I mean, Maheshate, 25 minutes last fight, only 25 minutes. 15 minutes, only 25 strikes landed. So he's going to be looking to get off a bit more than that. And these guys should absolutely just stand and bang in the octagon. So I'm looking forward to this one, some violence here.
Yep, I like it. I like it. For me, I'm going to get a little bit different here. It's a fight that I don't think is going to be heavily targeted, and it's probably the lowest level fight on the card, I'd say. And it's the first fight of the night. It's Takashi Sato going against Themba Gorimbo. I like these price tags for both guys. We have 8,200 for Takashi Sato, and then we have 8,000 for Gorimbo. We have a striker versus grappler matchup, a fight that I do think finishes. Sato's going to have an advantage on the feet, tons of power. Don't like how Gorimbo is reacting to the strikes of AJ Fletcher. I think Sato can absolutely knock him out. And then on the flip side, Sato always struggles with the wrestling, the grappling, and that's something I think Gorimbo is going to implement into this fight. So I see it as like a Sato knockout or a Gorimbo sub here. And I think both guys are going to be low owned, and both guys are going to be in play to put up a pretty big score. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Yeah, I think all of those are really fine options, but I'll go one deeper here and give you Fiore versus Hooper. Chase Hooper is always in high-paced, high-scoring fights. He scores 3.81 DraftKings points per minute, and he allows 3.62. He blocks punches with his face. He's willing to constantly grapple and scramble, as evidenced by his 1.93 takedowns per 15 minutes, 2.17 submission attempts per 15 minutes, and 1.69 reverses per 15 minutes. So his fights are in control time positions 55% of the time. And in the 45% that they're at distance striking range, Chase has absorbed 4 knockdowns. So I can't picture a better fight to target in the mid-range that should score well, regardless of whether it finishes or not. Nick is 8,300. Chase is 7,900. It's another great fight to target this week.
Yep, there we go. 4 very good fights to target there. All right, fight to fade here. I'll start this one off. I'm going to go with the easiest one probably. It's going to be Lupita Godinez going against Emily Ducote. This fight's like plus 240 to end inside the distance, which is the worst line on the entire slate. We got Lupi 8,600, Ducote 7,600. I'm definitely not playing Ducote. Like if I was forced to play one, it would probably be Lupi, just due to the fact that she does have wrestling upside, but we've seen her in the last 2 fights. She just doesn't go to it. If she doesn't go to it here, I think she still can win the fight, but I think it's going to be close. But even if she does wrestle, I don't see a finish coming from her. I think she probably wins this fight by decision. 8,600, I think there's better options on the card. So I'm going to be fading this fight for the most part. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target or favorite fight to fade for this card?
I'm going to go with Rodrigo Nascimento, Ilir Latifi. I'm picking probably Nascimento to win. Latifi has been, ever especially since he switched to heavyweight, extremely low volume. I mean, the definition basically of low volume at distance. Dude scores 0.63 points a minute in the heavyweight division. 0.63 points a minute. He only allows 1.36. So there's basically no stand-up with Latifi. The dude's neck, as we were mentioned before the show, is basically so thick, it's incapable of being choked out. So I don't know what Nascimento's going to do here. Even if he was to get the job done, which I think he can do, but it could be difficult. It could be a greasy decision here. But if Nascimento was able to get it done, he's subbed, one sub in his career in the UFC. Didn't score 100 points. His average points per win so far in his 3 wins, 93, has yet to hit triple digits in any of those 3 wins. And Latifi fights, as I just mentioned, tend to be very low scoring in this division. So I'm going to be fading the 9K fighter Nascimento and the $7,200 fighter Latifi, and just taking this fight down a couple notches as a whole.
Yeah, nothing wrong with fading a Latifi fight, that's for sure. Gordo, what fight are you fading this week?
I hope there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the one I'm fading as well. But Monk broke it down pretty well. I'm going to give you guys another option. Kowalkiewicz Demopoulos is one I'm fading here, really. I think that although the Nascimento Latifi one, I'm more so worried about the salary of Nascimento not being able to get Latifi out of there. Kowalkiewicz, same thing. I mean, a lot of the time she doesn't necessarily have the grappling upside to do it in this spot here. I think if she does grapple proactively, it's not really going to bode too well for her, because you're giving Demopoulos that one chance she has here. So at $8,500, does she have the striking and volume to go out there and not only finish Demopoulos, but also try to win a volume decision, especially over people like Sato, Gorimbo, Hooper, Fiore? It's just not someone I see living up to her price tag. Same side of things, Demopoulos isn't a very good historical scorer either. I mean, never putting up 100 points. A fight I'm fading here as well.
And finally, Weezy, which fight are you fading?
Yeah, it's got to be Latifi versus Nascimento. Latifi scores 2.57 DraftKings points per minute, and he only allows 1.57. His fights are slow-paced, low volume. His last 3 have went to decision. Rodrigo's higher volume. He's got some wrestling upside, and he does finish fights. However, it's going to be tough because Latifi's got 100% takedown defense and very high-level wrestling pedigree. So I don't see Rodrigo covering his salary, win or lose. And in Latifi's last 2 wins, he only scored 82 and 64 points. So even if he does pull off the win as a dog, he's got really limited upside. So yeah, I mean, Ilir Latifi fights at heavyweight are really hard to target because they go at a snail's pace.
Yeah, nothing really happens in Latifi heavyweight fights, that's for sure. Let's move on to our fighter to fade. We'll start with you, Weezy. What fighter are you fading for this week?
I've got Karolina Kowalkiewicz up here. I see almost zero finishing upside for Karolina in this spot versus Little Monster. So at her 2.78 Draftkings points per minute work rate, that would be around 72 points in a decision win. And Vanessa only allows 2.87 Draftkings points per minute. So the numbers are telling us that the upside for Kowalkiewicz at an 8,500 salary is very limited. So I'm fading her, even though I think she probably wins this fight. It's almost impossible to finish Vanessa Demopoulos. And in addition to that, if you take Vanessa down, you're putting Vanessa where she wants to be. So I don't see any grappling upside for KK. I mean, maybe she gets to 100 significant strikes, but very little control time, probably only a decision win. So I think she's capped at a very low amount here.
Yeah, I went with the same thing. Just don't like the price tag there. See very little, very, very little finishing upside. I'd be shocked if she went for takedowns. If she did, she's probably getting subbed. So yeah, I mean, if she wins, it's probably her staying on the outside, outpointing Demopoulos across 3 rounds. Pretty easy fade for me right there with you. Monk, what fighter are you fading for this week?
I'm going to give you a pretty high-priced fighter. I think the 3rd highest-priced fighter on the card, and that is Joaquin or Joaquin Buckley. I always forget how it's pronounced. I think it's Joaquin. But we'll just go with that. Mr. Buckley, how's that? Going against André Fialho. Buckley's $9,300 this week. Guys, since 2021, he has had 6 fights, has never made the optimal lineup. In his last 3 wins, average points per win, 83. In his UFC career, it's 94.82. The big detail here is this fight against Fialho is at welterweight. Buckley is dropping down 15 pounds, has never fought at welterweight in the UFC. The last thing I'll mention, if you're thinking violence in this one, Fialho's getting knocked around and blah, blah, blah. Well, the second to last thing I'll mention here, where'd it go? Buckley scored, let's see, against Duraev. He did win by TKO. I think it was stoppage referee or doctor stoppage at the end of the second, it looks like. 102 points, which is okay for 8,600, but he's 9,300 this week. Also KO'd Antonio Arroyo in the 3rd, scored less than 80 points, guys. So he's not generally a good scorer. Fialho does not generally allow a ton of points. And now the last thing I'll mention, Fialho has not been, he's been finished twice in the UFC, never in the first round, once in the second and once in the 3rd. Meanwhile, Mr. Buckley has been finished 3 times in the UFC, or actually has finished fights 4 times in the UFC, never in the first, 3 times in the second, once in the 3rd. All these numbers just go to show that I will be fading him because I just do not think he scores well, even in a 2nd to 3rd round finish win. So give me the fade on $9,300 Joaquin Buckley.
Nice, I like it. That's sneaky. I kind of see it the same way. I think if he does finish Fialho, I think it's 2nd or 3rd there. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. Gordo, which fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, we started a bit late because I was a bit late, so I'm going to make this one quick. Rodrigo Nascimento. I didn't talk about him last time. I can fade him here. 9K. He's not someone I think is going to have too much success. Also, historically, he's only never really scored 100 points. So at 9K, considering people around him, it's hard for me to get to him. Additionally, with the opponent being Ilir Latifi, not necessarily one I'm going to get to all that often. So 9K, let me fade Rodrigo Nascimento.
Sounds good. All right. Moving on to the favorite dog. And yeah, there's just so many options this week. We'll start with you, Monk. Which is your favorite dog for this week?
I just decided to change at the last second. I'm going to go with 36, almost 37-year-old Michael Johnson here at 7,500 over Diego Ferreira. 8,700 for Ferreira is a tough ask, if you ask me. Back-to-back KO losses. The last one was to Gamrot. I mean, no joke. Gregor Gillespie before that. man, is there a guy we wish would fight more than him? Probably not. So, and then Dariush. So 3 losses in a row. It's a pretty good competition, obviously. Meanwhile, Michael Johnson losing to Malarkey, Clay Guida in his last 4, and beating Alan Patrick and Mark D. Casey. I don't know, man. Fajeda is about a year and a half older than Johnson, coming off those 2 KO losses. I just think he's a bit overpriced here. I really think this one goes to decision. I don't think either guy scores very well at all, but Michael Johnson in a win could score okay at 7,500. He's the one out of the 2 guys that has made the optimal lineup in the past as well. So I do kind of like the Michael Johnson side here. His fights are always super interesting too, because he's either getting, knocked around and then coming back or doing damage of his own. So I'm looking forward to this fight, and I think I'm going to roll with the underdog here in Michael Johnson.
All right, Monk with Michael Johnson. Gordo, how about you? Who's your favorite dog this week?
Yeah, I'm going to take kind of the easy way out here because my favorite dog is only at 8K, and that's going to be Themba Gorimbo this week. And typically in these striker versus grappler matchups, you'll see me often going towards that grappler, and I'm going to kind of go here again this week. I mean, not only does he have a large height and reach advantage on the feet here, I don't think he uses it too much. He's a guy who likes to be grapple first, and I think in this spot here, he's going to have the ability to take down someone Asada who not only has been taken down, but finished before in the UFC here. So $8,000, I think his path to victory involves takedown points, control time points, and maybe even submission or finish points here as well. And I do think he gets that higher clip. At 8K, he's someone who I think can have some good success here, although there is a lot of dogs.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Victoria Leonardo. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go with Chase Hooper here, 7,900. It's just a fight that I see scoring very well one way or another. I think Chase Hooper is getting a little bit disrespected this week just because he got knocked out in his last fight against Steve Garcia. Luckily, he's fighting another grappler, and I think he's going to be the better grappler in what I think is going to be a grappler versus grappler matchup. I trust Hooper's cardio more. I think he's fought much better competition, and I think if this fight does get extended, I kind of expect Hooper to take over as it goes on. Always hard trusting someone in Chase Hooper, but at 7,900, I'll be willing to take many shots on him this week. But a fight I'm going to target a pretty heavy overall. Weezy, who is your favorite dog this week?
It's Chase Hooper, man. Like I covered in the fight to target segment, this guy's always in high-paced fights. I've got a money line bet on him to win this fight. So if I'm right about him winning, even in a decision win at his current DraftKings work rate, he's scoring like 87 points at only a $7,800 salary. But it's important to keep in mind that in his UFC debut versus Rebeski, Nick Fiore allowed 104 DraftKings points to Mateus in a decision loss. So Fiore can be taken down and controlled. So Hooper definitely has some upside here if he winds up looking good in this fight, getting the grappling going. And even if he's not great there, there's going to be scrambles. There's going to be reverses. There's going to be submission attempts presenting themselves. Both these guys are black belts. So I think it's going to be a good fight.
Yep, right there with you on that one. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk some prize picks. Use that promo code PUBSPORTS for a 100% deposit bonus on prize picks there. And I will kick it to you first. Monk, what is your favorite prize picks play?
There we go. I was running a bit late as well, so I kind of am going to take, let me just quick glance over this. I'm kind of going to take the easy way out. There is no really easy way, but I'm going to go Anthony Fluffy Hernandez over 97.5 points. I will get to more numbers in a second, so I'll keep this brief. He scores extremely well, one of the best scores on the entire card, consistently well over that 97 point. I mean, well over. And he's made optimal in several of his last 3 fights. So I do like this fight. Looking forward to it. Could be tough, but I am going to go with Anthony Hernandez. If he gets the win here, over 97.5, I really like.
Yeah, if he wins, he should smash that score for sure. For me, I'm not sure if this is still here. It probably is, but I did my notes on Monday. I'm going to go with the Natalia Silva over 0.5 takedowns. I think she gets at least one here. She doesn't really need to wrestle to win this matchup, but she attempted 3 takedowns against Bleda for some reason. She actually attempted 3 takedowns against Jazz the Vicious as well. So she does attempt takedowns. And if she attempts a takedown here, she's going to get it pretty easily against Leonardo, I think. So I think she gets probably 1 takedown, although she doesn't really need to. I think she does attempt them. So give me a Silva over 0.5 takedowns. Weezy, what do you like for prize picks this week?
I'm liking Slava Claus with 38.5 significant strikes. I absolutely love the over there because what Prize Picks is missing here is the fact that, see, Borschev is landing 2.7 significant strikes per minute, right? So at a 15-minute pace, you're looking at about 41 significant strikes at that pace. But the thing is that Borschev in 3 fights has had 32 takedowns attempted against him. He's been taken down 22 times and controlled for 65% of his UFC cage time, right? But when Slava's at distance, he's landing 7 significant strikes per minute spent at distance. He's fighting a guy in Maheshate who has attempted 0 takedowns in the UFC. So if this fight stays at distance for 6 minutes at that pace, you're easily getting over 38.5 significant strikes because Borschev is landing 7 and Maheshate, whose opponents are only attempting 8.33, is absorbing 3.38 at distance, but he's been also he's been controlled 41% of his UFC career. So I love the over for Borschev in this spot.
All right, taking the over there. I do want to shout out Just Cheese. Just Cheese, first time seeing you in here. But yeah, thank you for the $20 dono. Very, very generous. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the dono. And welcome, because I think you're new, but thank you. Gordo, how about you? What do you like for Prize Picks?
Yeah, I'm stuck between 2 options I feel are pretty viable. I'm going to go with the Shahbazyan Hernandez under 10 minutes. I think it does end between the first 2 rounds. It is a bit risky because there is always that chance Hernandez is able to finish him late. However, I do think, like I mentioned earlier, the 2 most likely path to victories are going to be the early KO for Shahbazyan or Hernandez wearing down the stretch. I do think a finish materializes. If you don't like that, though, I also don't mind the Mackenzie Dern over 1 takedown. She has 25 minutes to do it. I know it's not something that's to be too pretty because she could only need 1. Right. And at the same time, she could also struggle with the wrestling, but over 25 minutes, I do think she gets 1. So that is a safer option. However, my pick is going to be the Shahbazyan under.
Sounds good to me. All right. Again, guys, use that promo code PubSports on Prize Picks. Sign up. Get yourself a deposit bonus. Always a good time on Prize Picks there. Okay. We'll keep moving on to our favorite GPP play. I'll kick this one off. I'm going to go with Borschev here. 8,800 in a fight that I think is going to be a striker versus grappler matchup. And I'm really, really glad that they're finally giving Borschev a guy that's going to strike with him. And I think we're going to finally get to see that high-level striking of Borschev. This guy is a finisher. He hits very, very hard, and I think he can knock out Maheshate here. So I like Borschev 8,800. Not really worried about the takedown. I actually think Maheshate might try to take him down, but I doubt he's really successful in doing so. I think we get a striker versus striker matchup. Give me the better striker and Borschev to get the job done here. Gordo, who is your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, usually I like to go find a solid favorite GPP play. I'm going all the way down, and my GPP play is going to be André Fialho this week. I think that when it comes to finding someone who is going to be high risk, high reward, Fialho's kind of your guy because he is someone who has won both of his UFC fights by first round finish. And I do think that path to victory is something that's going to be there for him again here. Joaquin, Buckley, weight cut, durability issues, all that is there. A guy who has been finished early on, and a guy, André Fialho, who although has his issues in his own right, is a powerful fellow who likes to get his timing down straight and has some very good power behind his punches. So in my eyes here, André Fialho is a very good GPP option at this price tag because if he wins, he's going to score around 110, 105. However, there is always that risk. That's why this is a GPP target. I just wanted this opportunity to talk to him. At 6.9K, he opens up a lot of salary for the rest of your lineup, and I do think that his path to victory scores very well for us.
Sounds good. Weezy, who is your favorite GPP play?
It's got to be Anthony Hernandez this week. I mean, you simply have to play this guy unless you have Edmen in your lineup. He scores 5.18 Draftkings points per minute. At that pace, he scores over 100 points in a decision win. His pace is unmatched. He's got a brick for a head, and he wrestles constantly. He gets 6.58 takedowns per 15 minutes. And once the fight's on the ground, he's always looking to be aggressive with his submission attempts so he can finish fights. And he's averaging 2.39 submission attempts per 15 minutes. In Anthony's 4 UFC wins, he scored 134.76 points, 93.95, 117.15, and 120.15. He's averaging 116.5 DraftKings points in his wins. So leave Fluffy out of your lineup at your own peril.
Sounds good. I like it. I'll have plenty of Fluffy myself. And Monk, who is your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, it's also I got Fluffy Hernandez as well for sure. Absolutely love the guy. I mean, 3 out of 3 optimal since 2021 at the weight class 9400. He's not even the most expensive guy on the card here. Shahbazyan in his last 5 fights has given up 1.3 points per minute in takedowns and control time, while Hernandez is scoring well over 3.5 points per minute in those 2 categories as well. Basically the same kind of strength of schedule, but Shahbazyan did have that terrible run of 3 dropped fights in a row, and also not the best takedown defense himself, just 63%. So on top of the stats that Weezy just said, I try to get a little different with it. I'm definitely going to have Fluffy Hernandez. He'll probably be my most owned fighter this week.
Yep, sounds good to me. Okay, moving on then to our favorite cash play. We'll start with you, Weezy. Who's your favorite cash play for this week?
I'm just going to go with Natalia Silva this week. Even at the price, she feels like a safe cash play. Leonardo has been finishing all 4 of her pro losses. Natalia's got great takedown defense and even better striking. She's scoring 3.71 DraftKings points per minute. So, combined with her finishing upside, she feels kind of like a free square here. I mean, I think even in a bad performance, she scores like 85 points. So in a cash play, if there's some underdogs, there's a lot of places where you can save salary this week. So you should be able to go up and get Silva in your cash lineup.
Yep, should have no problem doing so. I have her in mind, and I also have Angela Hill, 7,100. I'm actually picking her to lose, but I'm looking for somebody who's very cheap here, somebody who I think is a good floor, and that's Angela Hill. Like on the feet, she throws a ton of volume. She's going to have the clear striking advantage. Obviously, what you got to worry about is her getting taken down. Like one takedown in this fight could be over shortly after, but Dern really can't wrestle and Hill has very, very, very good takedown defense. So if this fight does either A, get extended, or B, go the full distance, I think she can not only win the fight, especially if it goes to decision, but if she wins this fight, scores pretty well across 25 minutes with the high volume aspect of her game. So I'm going with Angela Hill here. I like the price tag. I like it a lot more than Mackenzie Dern at 9,100. Gordo, who's your favorite cash play this week?
Yeah, my favorite cash play is pretty simple. It's Natalia Silva. And at 9.7, there is always that concern of, is she going to live off her salary? Well, in cash, you just want to get those points locked up. And I do think she wins this fight at a very high clip. Hot take. Usually I leave those to you, Brady, but she does win a lot of the time here. So Natalia Silva minus 1,000 for a reason. I do think she has a good path to victory here. I do think she scores very well. And she is someone who you can lock into your lineup without having to worry too much if all things go well.
Sounds good to me. Yep, that is a hot take that she wins, but I'm right there with you, Gordo, on that hot take. Monk, how about you? Who's your favorite cash play?
Yeah, guys, honestly, I always try to give you someone different. I only had like 2 people on my list, and I already talked about Anthony Hernandez. It's Natalia Silva, and it's only Natalia Silva because I don't feel confident in anybody else on the entire card outside of basically Hernandez, and Hernandez is lower on my list in confidence compared to this fight. So it would be fantastic if Leonardo came out here and just broke the slate with like probably 1% ownership. But these guys did a great job talking about her, so I won't echo anything, and I'll just say Natalia Silva just because everyone else on the card is, just not 100% trustworthy.
Yeah, that's a weird card, man. Like nothing feels safe besides Natalia Silva.
And she's way too expensive and doesn't score well enough to play in GPP, so if you want to play her, this is really the only chance you're probably going to get.
Yep. So we'll see. Maybe Leonardo, like somebody said in the chat, gets that first round knee bar. We'll have to see if she can pull it off. But yeah, I doubt that. Okay. Moving on then to our favorite value play. I'll kick us off here. I'm gonna go with somebody that I think it was Gordo talked about, and it's gonna be André Fialho for me, 6,900. I just feel like somebody's getting knocked out here, and somebody's probably getting knocked out early. Both these guys have a ton of power. And both these guys, I really question their durability. These guys have a combined 8 knockout losses. Fialho, I don't think he's that great. I don't think he has good volume, good cardio, good fight IQ, good nothing really, besides power. And I think that power could translate to a first-round knockout. If this fight does get out of the first round, I think it heavily favors Buckley, but I'm going for that first-round upside. Obviously going to have some Buckley as well, but at this price tag, Fialho is very intriguing at 6,900 for some value for me. Monk, who is your favorite value play this week?
I love it. Excuse me. I'm going to actually go with someone that you've been mentioning, and that is Angie Hill. I'll be rooting for her hard this week. Really looking forward to seeing her compete and love when she wins, which she has done in 2 in a row now over Ducote, who's also on this card, and Lupita Godinez, who's also on this card. I just think this fight's a little closer than I'm hoping it is. In my mind, I see it that way. It's a little bit closer than the line and salary indicate. So I'm just really pushing for Hill here. She generally doesn't score well, but you're not going to have to worry about that at $7,100. If she gets a win, it'll be great for the optimal lineup sake. Dern, we're talking about her takedowns a little bit, and it is a little better than I thought. It's not quite the Paul Craig level of just falling on your back, although we have seen that before out of Mackenzie Dern. She took down Yan on twice, Rodriguez once, and Nunes just once. So it's going to be tough, I think, to get Angie down. But if she does, yeah, it could be pretty bad. But Hill, in her last 5, 77% takedown defense. So fingers crossed she brings us a big win at a cheap price this week.
Yeah, I think that the discrepancy in price for Hill and Dern is pretty wild this week. And I do want to shout out Just Cheese once more, the $10 dono, and he's saying for Dixon Cider. There you go. Shout out to Just Cheese. Shout out to Dixon as well. Appreciate you both. All right, let's give it to Weezy. Weezy, who is your favorite value play this week?
Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but it's got to be Angie Hill. She's scoring about 3 DraftKings points per minute. She lands about 5.87 distance strikes per minute, and Dern absorbs about 6.17. So we can count on Angie to land about 6 distance strikes per minute in this fight and stuff Dern's takedown attempts. And it's reasonable to assume that she performs right around 70 to 80 DraftKings points in a decision loss over 25 minutes. So 25 minutes to work against a fighter who has real problems getting takedowns. So if this fight does go the distance and Mackenzie doesn't get those takedowns and get into dominant positions, I think Angie at only 7,100 could be a low price, high floor, and even higher ceiling, because if Dern's not getting these takedowns and Angela Hill gets a 30-point win bonus after 25 minutes at about 3 points a minute, yeah, you're looking at about over 100 points from somebody that you only paid 7,100 for. Gotta love the underdogs that have the chance to go the distance in the 5-round fights for DraftKings. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And then Gordo, who is your favorite value play?
Yeah, let's talk some value here. It's not going to be pretty. Maybe we put up the little Lou Betcha banner in the bottom saying that doesn't reflect everyone's views, but let's go Chase Hooper. And it's a weird spot because Chase Hooper's not someone you want to be too confident in a lot of the time, but when we're looking at a fight here where he's sitting as the underdog 7.9, it's a guy who is a grappler, a guy who hasn't really fought much level of competition, a guy who wants to initiate the clinch and doesn't pose that same knockout threat that Garcia does. He is going to have some value at 7.9K, because let's not forget, he's the same guy who put up 142 and 112 in fights where he's able to go out there and dominate. I'm not saying he dominates Fialho early on, because he is a guy who's, making that going up in weight, stuff like that. But if Fialho wants to initiate the clinch and the ground exchange, it's very dangerous to do that against someone like Chase Hooper. And if we add in the fact that Fialho isn't much of a knockout threat in the feet, if this goes all 15 minutes, you're giving the opportunity for Hooper to not only take over on a guy in Fialho who doesn't usually go all 15 minutes, but to stay in the fight at 7.9K. So I do think he's able to get some value at his underdog price tag, and I do think he's able to have a higher ceiling and maybe, fight back against all the jokes against him this week.
Yep, we'll see. I will have my fair share myself. Lastly, we'll go to our dart throw, and let's start with you, Monk. Who is your dart throw for this week?
Well, I love what Gordo's been saying. I only had 2 written down, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna echo some of his sentiments here. And André Fialho, I already talked about why I won't be rostering much of Joaquin Buckley. So naturally, I'm gonna look to the underdog 6,900 and play him for his upside, which is a huge knockout or early finish upside. As Gordo said, 2. Fialho's never been finished in the first round, but he has 2 first-round finishes. Buckley 3. KO losses in the UFC so far. I mean, that's a formula for a big upset. So 6,900, absolutely love it here. André Fialho does not score very well per minute, but scores very well per win. Kind of a Derek Lewis syndrome here. So let's see if he can get it done and catch Buckley moving down to 170 pounds.
I like it. Weezy, who's your dart there for this week?
Greece, stand up. Vanessa Demopoulos. Her only UFC finish came in the first round. All 3 times Karolina Kowalkiewicz has been finished in the UFC, it was in the first round. Before Vanessa came back to the UFC, she knocked out Cynthia Arcio in the first round. 4 out of 5 of Vanessa Demopoulos's finish wins are first-round finishes. I'm considering making a small bet on Vanessa to win in the first round, and if that's live, then she's definitely worth a dart throw at 7,700. Because if that's like her best win condition is a round one finish, then you know she's going to be optimal if she wins that way.
Yep, I went with the same thing. Demopoulos, 7,700. I like her as a dog this week. I think she's getting better. Even at 34 years old, we're starting to see some improvements in terms of the wrestling. And if she's able to get this fight down to the mat, like she's a very, very, very good grappler. And I could definitely see her submitting a 37-year-old Karolina. So yeah, I like Demopoulos in terms of a dart throw. I think she has some high upside. Don't think she's going to be too high on there as well. All right, and then Gordo, who's your dart throw for this week?
Yeah, in my opinion, the two best dart throws are Shahbazyan and Fialho. We've covered them enough. Let me talk about somebody who we haven't talked about at all and who everyone seems to be hating on this week and who I have to shine a little bit of love because she's done me well in the past. Let's go Lupita Godinez as a dart throw for me this week. Maybe it's because she grew up in Canada. Maybe it's because she put up 140 against Carnelossi. She has potential to go out there and wrestle, and the problem is she never uses it. I'm hoping this short notice nature and 120 bout makes her go back to her old style and wrestle here because I think if she does, she'll be able to go out there and score very well and a win. It's just dangerous. And that's kind of why I'm kind of treating her as my dart throw because a lot of people are overlooking her this week. A lot of people don't trust her after the stunt she's pulling the last 2 fights, and I get why. However, I do think at 8.6, she has the opportunity to put up another 130, 127 point score with her wrestling, and I definitely hope she does this week.
Yeah, it makes sense. She has all the tools to do so. We'll just see if she uses them. All right, what we're going to do now, if you guys are in the chat, you guys gonna type some questions in there. Yeah, never forget, Dixon. You guys can type some questions in there. I'll go back and check some questions earlier in the chat. But what we're gonna do now is we're going to go over our lineups from last week and then go over these current standings as well. All right, so last week we had UFC Charlotte. In fourth place was Monk. He had Jailton Almeida, 104, Carl Williams, 70, Jiyoung Kim, 23, Silva de Andrade, 56, D-Rod, 2, and Pateria, 2, scoring 260.04. And third place was myself with Almeida, 104, Williams, 70, Olberg, 105, Lisboa, 81, Rodriguez, 2, and Rosenstruck, 0, scoring 365.43. In second place was Weezy with Carl Williams, 70, Olberg, 105, Rose Clark, 29, Walker, 74, Matt Brown, 106, and D-Rod, 2, scoring 389.19. And then first place was Gordo with Almeida, 104, Carl Williams, 70, Stamen, 42, Lisboa, 81, Matt Brown, 106, and D-Rod, 2, scoring 408.62. Congrats, Gordo, and good call, Weezy and Gordo, on that Matt Brown first-round knockout call.
Yeah,
I didn't call first-round knockout, but I thought he'd be a good dog.
Yeah, it was a card and a half in terms of Draftkings. It was some unpredictable events, a very tough one. So happy we made it out alive.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. All right. Current standings. We have fourth Monk has 5,960 Draftkings points. He is 821 behind the leader. Third place is Weezy with 6,198. He is 583 behind the leader. And second, me with 6,623. I am 158 behind the leader. And then in first place, Gordo, 6,782. Gordo, you are in first place, 16 cards in. And yeah, you're starting to gain a little bit of lead in. So I need to get going this week. But yeah, congrats.
Yeah, you think with the lead I'd play a cash lineup? No, it's going to be dangerous here. And I'm looking forward to maybe either dropping back in a second exchange the lead or getting an even bigger one. It'll be fun.
Let's do it. All right, let's get into these lineups then. We'll start with you, Gordo. What do you got for this week?
Oh, boy. Let's get into it. Well, I talked about André Fialho. I think he does have good upside, so I'm taking him. Taking Hernandez as well. Chase Hooper, not very pretty. Themba Gorimbo, not very pretty either. Mackenzie Dern, dangerous as well. And Lupita Godinez to make it even more dangerous. So a lot of upside, a lot of risk. To recap, Dern, Fialho, Godinez, Gorimbo, Hernandez, Hooper.
All right, we have three of the same. I'm going Natalia Silva up top, Fluffy Hernandez up top. Give me Vanessa Demopoulos, Chase Hooper, Themba Gorimbo, and Angela Hill. Monk, what is your lineup for this week?
Well, if you remember, in some of these lower level cards that we've had the same discussion about in the past, we've had some incredibly low salary. So I'm going to stick to a very low salary this week. We're going to go with Fluffy Hernandez, Slava Claus, Temba Garimbo, Chase Hooper, Gilbert Urbina, and Angie Hill.
And last but not least, Weezy, what do you got for this week?
I'm going with. Did you just say the same exact lineup as me? I mean, because Brady and I had the same lineup, and I was swapping out Demopoulos for Urbina. So
I don't remember. Maybe I did. I made this in the middle of the show.
So
yours 49K.
It's Natalia Silva, Anthony Hernandez. Okay. Temba Garimbo, Chase Hooper, Gilbert Urbina, and Angie Hill.
Sounds good. So me and Weezy are one away this week.
Instead of Silva.
Oh, you have a Slava instead of Silva?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Sounds good. All right. Let's get to some questions, and then we'll give our quick picks, and then we will head out of here. All right. So I'm going to scroll up here. See what we got. Dixon saying cut bone. Weezy agrees with that one.
Let's go.
I guess they might be giving her one more, supposedly. So we'll see. All right. This one can go to, why not? Weezy. Dixon's asking, is Silva about to pull an Egger and get knee barred?
By Victoria Leonardo, probably not. That would be surprising to me. She's already faced two really good grapplers. Jazz Davicius, great wrestler. And then Teresa Bleda is a very good grappler. So I don't really worry about the Leonardo grappling here, even though that's her base. We've already seen Silva pass that test twice at the UFC level. And frankly, I think that this test isn't even as stiff as the first two that she faced. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening. But, it's MMA. We don't use the word lock here. We don't use the word guarantee. And as my guy Smooth Jimmy Apollo used to say, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time. And we got to live by those words, because even the best of us are only right at like a little bit over 50%. So, you got to be ready for anything to happen on Saturday.
Yep, as always. This one can go to Gordo. He's saying, any thoughts on Edmen Shahbazyan, or you guys only playing him as a budget filler, if at all?
Oh, Edmen, I think, has an incredible ceiling on this slate. And I think if he's going to win this fight, it's going to come by first-round knockout. The guy's very good historical scorer when he does win. The problem is he also fades down the stretch, and against a guy who's going to stick to you like glue, like Anthony Hernandez, we don't think he necessarily wins all the time. But when he does win, he does score very well. I think he's a very, very good GPP play. However, I wouldn't rely on him to be in any of your cash lineups.
Yep, for sure. This can go to Monk. Who has the highest ceiling on the card to play at captain on?
Captain. Let's see. I would probably lean towards somebody like Chase Hooper. You get you some tremendous upside for a dog salary. If you want a captain spot, you can still go up to get your Hernandez's. I don't know the salaries on FanDuel, but I assume they're similar. Something like that. Maybe if you don't want to get that risky, maybe go Slava Claus, Borschev. At least in DraftKings, he's somewhat decently priced at 8,800. So I assume on FanDuel, he might be. I don't even know what their salaries are like. Is it even in dollars? Like, I have no idea. Is it in rupees? I have no idea.
Bitcoin.
In rupees.
Bitcoin, yeah. Ethereum, Dogecoin, perhaps. So I like those two options there. Lots of upside there. And also for Frank Newman, I think it was the Baja men that let the dogs out.
There we go. I like it. Okay. So I'll answer this one. What time of the fight starting? I believe I saw 4:00 Eastern time, but I'm not 110% sure on that. And then we'll give this one to Gordo. Who has the best chance to score a win in the first 60 seconds?
See, that's a dangerous one, because I would have never told you Brian Battle last week, and yet he went out there and he did it. This week, I would say I think it's between Edmen Shahbazyan and André Fialho, two underdogs. And I think that they don't win a majority of the time, but when they do, it could come by first round or first minute knockout there. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those guys do have power. And although they could be overwhelmed, have the potential to win early on.
Yep, those two came to mind as well. All right, quick picks, and then we'll head out of here. We'll start with you, Weezy. What are your quick picks for this week?
Let me just jump in real quick and say Dixon Sider said, imagine it's Sato at sub 5% ownership.
Oh, yeah,
Sato could absolutely land an early knockout. He's got a beautiful straight left hand, and when it lands, dudes fall asleep. So Yeah, he could be like Sato is a great dart throw. I got Garimbo in my lineup, so obviously I'm not playing him, but man, that's Sato's win condition. That's the only way he's won in the UFC is by knockout. So, take for that what it's worth. But for the quick picks this week, I'm going Angela Hill by decision. I'm going Anthony Hernandez, 3rd round submission. I'm going Lupita Godinez by decision. I honestly have no idea who's winning that Fialho Buckley fight, but I'll say Buckley by 2nd round knockout. I don't know who's winning the Johnson Ferreira fight. Let's say Johnson by decision. I'm going Borschev, 2nd round knockout. I'm going Kowalkiewicz by decision. I'm going Urbina by I'm going Cosce by decision. I'm going Nascimento by decision. Chase Hooper by decision. Natalia Silva, 2nd round knockout. And Temba Garimbo, 2nd round submission.
All right. For me, I'll start. Did you start up top or at the bottom? Yeah, you started up top, right? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll start up. Yeah. Give me Mackenzie Dern, 3rd round sub. Anthony Hernandez, 2nd round sub. Slava, 1st round KO. Michael Johnson, decision. Fialho, 1st round KO. Lupi, decision. Demopoulos, 1st round submission. Nascimento, boring decision. Chase Hooper, 3rd round sub. Natalia Silva, 1st or 2nd round knockout. Orion Cosce, 3rd round TKO. Themba Garimbo, I'll say 1st round submission there. Monk, what are your quick picks for this week?
Well, I assume from the order you just read that my order is going to be all screwed up, but that's all good. We're gonna go Sato by finish. We're gonna go Silva finish, Hooper finish, Nascimento decision, Urbina finish, Demopoulos decision. We're gonna go Borschev finish. We're gonna go Johnson finish, Buckley finish, Lupi Godinez decision, Hernandez finish, and Mackenzie Dern decision.
Perfect. And then last but not least, Gordo, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm taking a few dogs this week. I'm taking Mackenzie Dern, Anthony Hernandez, Lupi Godinez, André Fialho, Diego Ferreira, Vlachev, Borschev, Vanessa Demopoulos, Gilbert Urbina, Rodrigo Nascimento, Chase Hooper, Natalia Silva, and Themba Garimbo.
Sounds good to me, guys. We'll see how we do. All right, we'll kick it around. Weezy, let the people know where they can find your plans. Are you doing any Just the Tip tonight or tomorrow, or what's up?
Gonna do it tonight, 10 o'clock. Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy. Break down all 12 of these fights. And we're gonna finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I've already got some track bets that I'll give out on the show. And there's already a prize picks play that's sticking out, which I'm gonna give out on the show as well. So definitely looking forward to doing that tonight. And then after that, I am done for the week. I will give you a greasy 4-leg parlay on my channel, but that'll be real quick. And then enjoy this week off. Going to be adding some new stuff to the Patreon. So really looking forward to having the time off to get some behind the scenes stuff done. And let's all stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 73 and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies. Let's go.
Let's go. Monk, I know you've been busy this week. What are your plans for some content?
Game Theory's out. Was able to get that one out on Monday. Salary Voodoo will probably be out. Not probably. It will be out tomorrow. I was just thinking today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. On the MMA Engine channel. Me and Lou on Monk and Lou's Happy Hour on Friday. That possibly needs to get a scheduling change. I just started a new job. I'm a 9-to-5 boy now, and it's really effing all my shit up as far as daytime shows that I do. So I got to get that figured out. But nevertheless, we will keep it going no matter what the case is over on the MMA Engine, over on the Monk Max channel, and support my brothers here on this show as well.
Sure, for sure. And Gordo, let the people know where they can find you and your plans for this week for some content.
Yeah, I've actually already got my video out. It is out on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel, fully edited, timestamped, and ready to go. So I got my full card DraftKings and betting breakdown up there. I'll be recording with Brett Apley right after this for the Daily Fan MMA premium podcast, which will be out on that channel as well. And I've also finished up all my written breakdowns, which is also on Daily Fan MMA. So that means I'm pretty much done content for the week, actually. So I'm excited to relax tomorrow. Actually, Brady, are we doing anything this weekend? What's going on with your best bet?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be cool.
Yeah, then I'll be there as well. So I'm done until Saturday, but I will be joining the next couple of days off. But yes, enjoy your week off next week, and I'll see you guys Saturday with Brady.
Sounds good. Yep, I'll be going live Friday for some final thoughts after the weigh-ins, and then Saturday, best bet. Probably Gordo, probably Patrick, and then I'll try to find one more guy there. But yep, going to enjoy the week off and then come back. And we have like a long stretch of fights coming up this summer, which I'm looking forward to, but it's going to be a grind. All right, guys, leave a like on your way out. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck for the card of the year in UFC Vegas 73. See you guys later.